Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Welcome to the Sunday night live stream show. Hopefully everybody's doing well, and hopefully you are as excited as I am for another Sunday night live stream show. We're going to be giving away lots of free fishing trips. We're going to be talking fishing, having a good time, and hopefully answering your questions live and having a blast doing it. Plus, you got a chance to win $1,500 in free fishing trips. That's right. Every Sunday night we give away a 5-hour half day for 2, a 10-hour all day for 2, and a 39-hour fishing trip for 1 lucky winner. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, if you want a chance to win free fishing trips, you do have to comment 1 time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. That enters you for a chance to win. Then you have to watch the entire show live in person. That way, if you're picked as one of those lucky winners, you've got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address. Again, comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream to enter to win. Watch the entire show live, and then if you're picked as one of the lucky winners, you've got 5 minutes or less to text us at the phone number on the screen your full home address. That's how you enter. That's how you claim it. That's how the free trips work. Also, we're going to be talking every Sunday night about what we're catching now, showing you photos. Then we get into the weather a little bit. Then we get into your questions. So make sure if you have a question you want answered live during the show, a topic you want covered live during the show, text your question or topic or suggestions to the phone number on the screen. So that's how we see it. If you enter a comment, we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Trovo, a bunch of different platforms and a bunch of different pages. So we don't always see your comments. So if you want something answered live during the show, again, make sure you text it to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. Want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Gyms Tackle. If you haven't stopped by to see our friends at Gator Gyms Tackle, you are missing out. Huge selection, killer deals, great people, stuff to the gills over there at Gator Gyms Tackle Shop. Stop by and see all the rods, reels, tackle, bait, and lures that Point Drive South in St. Pete. Gator Gyms is your title presenting sponsor of tonight's show and every Sunday night live stream show. So thank you, Gator Gyms, and again, stop by and tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Also, want to make sure we give a shout out to all of those supporters out there in our supporters club who help fuel the show and make tonight's show and every Sunday night show possible. The Supporters Club is only $4.99 a month to join. It gives you private access to our private club and more behind the scenes info, more connectivity, more communication, and access to the private after show. After every Sunday night live show, we do about a 15-20 minute after show in that supporters group that only supporters can access. So check it out. It's only $4.99 a month. Josh is going to drop the link into the comments for you, so it's worth checking into for sure. Then finally, we want to make sure we give a shout out to all those who are sending stars. Stars are another way to help fuel the show and help us to continue to do cool things with our live stream show. Charles Carter, appreciate those 1,000 stars, big dog. Mark Higgins, what's up, buddy? Stephen Batchelor with a big 500 stars. Thank you, buddy. Keith White, Adam Franklin, LaShonda Brown, Ed Mack, John Herman Sr. with a big 1,000 stars. John Niemski, Richard Bedwell with a big 1,000. Thank you, buddy. Scott Flynn with big 500. John Bull, Barry Long, Tim Dykes with a big 600. Appreciate you, buddy. Eric Seberg with a big 1,000. Thanks, Eric. Gary Camage, Logan Gorman, Phil Batisto, Larry White with a big 1,000. Jeff Reedy with another big 1,000. Robert Bush as well. Appreciate y'all for sure helping to fuel the show and helping us to continue to do what we do. Appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you again for the added stars there. All right. With that, we want to make sure also to encourage you guys to comment. The more you comment, the more it helps us to reach more people and show more engagement with the show. So if you're watching on Instagram, on TikTok, Trovo, Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, make sure you comment it up. And also, give the live video a like or a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. We really appreciate it. We're only 24 subscriptions away from 19,000 subscribers on YouTube. So please help us reach that 19,000 mark. We'd appreciate it. It's definitely a big milestone that we've been looking forward to hitting. So help us out and make sure you stop by Hubbard's Marina on YouTube and give us a subscription. And don't forget also to click that bell so you're notified when we upload new YouTube videos, because we've been hitting them hard and we got more and more coming as well. Then also we want to make sure we show you photos of what we've been catching. We always start inshore, show you photos of what we've been catching inshore, then work our way near shore and offshore. So make sure you sit back, relax, and let's get into the near shore, inshore photos first, and then we'll work our way near shore and offshore. So starting inshore, we'll show you what we've been catching. The snook bite has really picked up. This last week we had, a week ago, 7 to 10 days ago, we had really high sea surface temperatures. It was getting into the mid 90s really fast. There was some areas in Tampa Bay that had sea surface temperatures of 92 to 93 degrees. But this past week, we've gotten a lot of cloud cover, we've gotten a lot of rain, and that sea surface temperature really, really fell down significantly. We went from 92, 93 degrees to 82 to 83 degrees. So almost a 10-degree drop, which really has brought the inshore fishery to life. A lot of good stuff going on inshore right now. A lot of snook action. The snook have been fired up this past week and really starting to get more and more prolific around the pass and beaches. Mangrove snapper are getting thick out there. Virtually any structure, any hard structure is holding a lot of those hungry mangrove snapper. Snook action, like I said, doing well from the beaches to the passes to the upper bay and back bay waters. We're seeing some good snook action around the bridge lights and dock lights at night, and even around the islands inside John's Pass as well. The trout bite has slowed down significantly, but we're still seeing some nice trout caught here and there. Today I saw some young kids around the pass. They had to have maybe a 26-inch trout. It was a beast that they were all excited showing everybody. So that was cool to see. Some nice snook action from our buddy John, catching them up all over from the back and upper bay waters all the way out to the passes. John is on the snook as per usual. A few nice redfish in the mix too. Not a lot of redfish, but catching a few here and there. Always fun to see the redfish action. Sheep's head have definitely fallen off, but we're seeing some of those sheep's head out there on the beaches trying to stay a little cooler. Snook action on the beach, as I mentioned, has been stellar. Trout are still around, but definitely have gotten a little bit fewer and further between. Our buddies at Salt Strong, though, always have them dialed in. And that's about it inshore. We'll work our way a little bit deeper and show you guys what we've been catching a little bit deeper near shore and off. Near shore and offshore fishing has been good to us. We're doing a lot more trips now that red snapper season is open. The red snapper chaos has settled in, and so we have a lot more trips going on for sure, and thus a lot more photos. Plus, we want to tell you a little bit later on tonight about some exciting news that we have expanding our nearshore and offshore content. What in the world happened here? Oh, I'm having technical difficulties on my end, but let's get into the photos and show you guys what we've been catching out there a little deeper. Some catch and release gag grouper action has been very fun to watch and very cool to see. And it's definitely been pretty stellar as of late with the gag grouper being caught and released. But we're looking forward to being able to keep them. We got some gag grouper news to talk about tonight too. Gag grouper at this recent council meeting this past week, we're expecting a 6 to 10 day gag grouper season. For those of you who have been watching the show, you know we've been talking a lot about that gag grouper season only being 6 to 10 days this year, starting September 1st. But we've heard now from this Gulf Council meeting this past week that most likely that gag grouper season is going to be more like 14 to 20 days. So a huge increase. If you're subscribed on YouTube, you caught the video we posted today that went in depth on that gag grouper update. It's my pad. You can't help me. Thank you, though. No, I'm good. But I appreciate it. So as I was saying, the gag grouper update, we were expecting 6 to 10 days, one fish per person. Now, at this Gulf Council meeting this past week, it's become clear that it's going to be probably 14 to 20 day gag grouper season starting September 1st. But I wouldn't get too excited about 20 days. I would say they talked about it being 14 to 20 days, and I would say most likely it's going to be closer to that 14, if not just 14 itself. And then also on top of that, they made it pretty clear that the emergency rule they discussed for gag grouper moving to potentially one fish per person, there's a pretty strong potential that emergency rule will not pass in time, will not be put in place in time. So thus, we should still have 2 gags per person. Now, none of that's finalized yet. It will be finalized here in the next week, but we're expecting to hear 14 to 20 day season with probably 2 fish, like 60 to 70% chance it'll be 2 fish in my uneducated, somewhat experienced opinion. So we'll see. But like I said, that announcement's coming soon on the gags. But as you can see, some nice ones have been caught and released. We're still seeing some mackerel near shore. We're seeing some solid mangrove snapper, good numbers of mangrove snapper, some big mangrove snapper in the mix, but a lot of really nice mangroves regardless. Some good quality fish, some good quality numbers. We're seeing some red grouper near shore, not a ton of them, but you got a chance for red grouper on our near shore trips, which is always exciting and fun. We've been seeing the chicken dolphin, the small mahi out there. Some good solid red grouper action offshore. The 39-hour that came in this morning, the Friday to Sunday trip, had a little bit of a tougher time with the red grouper around the start of that full moon, but this past week, as you can see from these photos, the red grouper were cooperative. We're seeing some of these nice scamp grouper. Look at that bag John's got in his hand, a nice mangrove, red snapper, and scamp. Some solid red grouper action, nice fatty there from Dan. Another nice one from a 10-hour all day. So as you can see, we're seeing some nice ones. Look at that, a big mangrove and a keeper red grouper from a 10-hour trip. Solid action there, always fun to see. Some big red snapper have been caught. The jackpot winner from the Friday trip was about almost 19 pounds. I've seen some big red snapper come in. I think our biggest one is right there around 18, 19 pounds so far, but it's early in season. I'm sure we'll get some bigger ones coming up here soon as well. Some solid lady angler power on our recent trips, catching some nice fish for sure, and seeing some nice action on the private fishing charters as well. The Flying Hub 2 has been catching limits and doing really well out there. We got a nice wahoo on a 39-hour adventure. Funny thing about this wahoo is it was caught trolling on a planer and spoon. You don't see many wahoo caught trolling a planer and spoon, but hey, it happened. Here it is. Keeper, nice respectable wahoo on the planer and spoon. Some big yellowtail, always having fun out there, Jason Boyle. But look at that yellowtail. That is a solid stud yellowtail. So that's always exciting bonuses when we see those yellowtails. We were seeing the mutton pretty heavily in the cooler months. We haven't seen any real big mutton lately now that the water's warmed up, but there's always a chance for those warm water muttons. But a lot of yellowtails. The yellowtails have remained consistent even with that water temperature warming up. Let's get right into the weather, show you guys what's going on here weather-wise. Popping over to hubbardsmarina.com. We're going to click Fishing Trips, scroll down to the weather links, and on the weather links page, we'll start in the wind finder forecast, the 5 and 10 hour forecast area. And as you can see, weather looks really good all the way through Wednesday. Wednesday night, we get a little bit of rain, storm activity, and that kind of hangs out. It makes Thursday a little bit more moderate, and into Friday, but nothing terrible. 2.5 foot. So the worst weather we see in the forecast looks Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But like I said, only about 10 to 15 mile an hour. And only about a little more than 2 foot. So really nothing crazy in the weather as far as the upcoming weekend goes, but definitely nicer weather at the start of this work week ahead of this full moon. The full moon is Wednesday. On the backside of the full moon looks like it might be a little bit more moderate. Nothing rough, nothing crazy, but definitely a little bit more moderate. Not flat calm is what I should say behind the full moon. The second half of the work week and into next weekend. We'll look at the offshore weather, and it's just a little bit more magnified. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even offshore, it's 3.5 foot or less. So that won't disturb any 39-hour trips. So if you're booked for Friday, June 13th, 39-hour, while it's going to be a little bit bumpy, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, cloud cover, rain chances are up, but it's still totally fishable, less than 4 foot, so not terrible by any means. But this weather could definitely affect Flying Hub 2 trips June 12th through June 15th if this weather holds true. So we'll pop back to the weather links page and let's find out why. Why is that weather popping up? So we're going to go to our friend's website, Mike's weather page, spaghettimodels.com. Big shout out to Mike Boylan and Mike's weather page. He lost his dog yesterday night, this morning. Hunter, definitely really sad. So keep Mike's family in your thoughts and prayers for sure. Never good losing a furry friend. I went through that not too long ago, and it's not fun. It's not at all. I don't like it. Let's look at why this weather's popping up. So here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So a little frontal boundary. That's what it is. These cold fronts this time of year are always challenging. So here's the cold front over Texas, Louisiana. Cold front never makes it to us. Cold front stays up here in Alabama, Georgia. But as that cold front leaves, you can see that line of storms hanging out in the northern Gulf. And then as it leaves, it stalls. And it builds that tropical moisture, pulls that moisture from Cuba, from the Bahamas, and pulls that moisture up to it. And here's Wednesday. Thursday, it lingers and builds a little bit. Look at Thursday morning, some pretty serious storms around the peninsula of Florida. So that is a cold front that brings us that weather second half of the week. And you can see here's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It just lingers. Lingering cold front, tropical, subtropical moisture, not tropical, but definitely interesting phenomenon. And then as we get into later, again, this is super far away, so you can't put much stock in this. We're at June 18th. This is 10 days out. Most forecasters don't even look at this modeling this far out because it is so untrustworthy. But there is a little something forming down here. This is the 18Z model this morning that had it that same thing we just looked at turned into a hurricane and moved into South Texas. But as you can see, it changed a lot. So that was this morning's 6Z. So this is 12Z. It's still a hurricane, but it was southern Texas. Oh, and it kind of dissipated in the middle of the Gulf. And now tonight's forecast model run has it just kind of chilling down there in the Bay of Campeche. So something to keep an eye on, but like I said, and like I just tried to illustrate by showing you the last 3 model runs, is it's super early and the computers don't know what's going to happen. That is like June 20th, June 21st, and really the whole hurricane season since before hurricane season even started, like end of May, all the way through the first week of June until now, we've been seeing this tropical threat 10, 15, 20 days out, but it just keeps moving back and never coming to fruition. So keeping fingers and toes crossed and saying a little prayer that trend holds true, where these advanced forecast models super far in the future show something, but then it continues to dissipate. So essentially, long story short, what you need to know is weather is going to be really nice the first half of this coming work week until the full moon on Wednesday, and then the second half of the work week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there is a pretty decent potential that a lot of times or a lot of the forecast models are showing Thursday through Sunday having the potential of a little bit of an increased weather, more rain, more wind, a little bit more seas, but nothing crazy, but definitely something to keep in mind if you're planning some outdoor adventures. And then further into the future, we'll keep an eye on things, but really more than 7 days into the future, it's really hard to even have a minutia of faith in anything coming to fruition, because a lot of times it can change so dramatically. Kathy Kleiss, appreciate those 1,150 stars, 1,200 stars. Don Shuett, appreciate you, buddy. Carol Roberts, appreciate the stars. Anthony Barnes, Zolta, appreciate it as well. Anthony Barnes, Jeff Reedy, appreciate all the stars, y'all. All right, so we talked about what we're catching now. We showed you the weather. Let's get into a few announcements here real quick, and then we're going to get into your questions. Remember, if you have a question you want answered live during the show, shoot it to us in a text message below. Announcement I talked about earlier, or alluded to earlier, is we have a new couple that we're working with, the Cardys. If you fish on our 39-hour trip, you know Scott and Carrie Cardy. They are a couple that's been fishing with us at Hubbard's Marina for many years, and Carrie and Scott are helping us out now with doing some more video and media content creation. So they're going to be going on some more trips, some 12 hours, some 39 hours, and they're going to be taking photos and videos out there, helping us collect more photos. So tonight, during the show, a lot of the photos that we showed you tonight were actually taken by Scott and Carrie, and then also they're going to be taking some videos out there and helping us produce more videos. So this will help us because we have a lot of good content from our professional camera crews that go out there on the 39-hour trips and create some really polished professional videos. And then we have Philip, who's full-time with us, that does a lot of stuff near shore on the dock, our dockside chats, some of the cool videos like the history video we just did, the hurricane video we just did. That's all Philip's stuff. But Carrie and Scott are going to give us a customer point of view, if you will. So a little bit more of an informal POV view of our fishing trip. So I'm excited to work with them more closely and bring you guys more videos and help produce more photos for you when you're on those longer range trips, and more memories as well. So super excited about that. So stay tuned for some of their videos coming to our YouTube channel. We're calling it Crushing It with the Cardys. Since you guys love that phrase so much, we figured we'd proliferate it, so you're welcome. And then also, we talked about the gag grouper announcement. The other announcement that we have tonight is red grouper. Red grouper, we've been talking the last couple weeks that red grouper should remain open. We shouldn't see a red grouper closure. And at this past week, at that Gulf Council meeting I attended, we heard the official from the horse's mouth announcement that red grouper should not close for recreational fishermen at all in 2025. So super pumped to hear that, and pretty great news for all of us that we should have red grouper open for the entire calendar year of 2025. So no red grouper closure, it's official. Gag grouper, we're going to potentially see a little bit longer season with 2 fish. The other news from that Gulf Council meeting this past week was shallow water grouper. We unfortunately have some news coming in 2026. Next year, 2026, the shallow water grouper complex will only be open for 6 months. Now you're sitting there thinking, what's a shallow water grouper? That's scamp grouper, yellow mouth grouper, yellow fin grouper, and true black grouper. So we catch primarily scamp. Sometimes we see true black grouper. We don't really see the yellow fin grouper very much, if at all, and we very rarely see the yellow mouth. So the real big news is essentially 2026. You're only going to have 6 months to keep those scamp grouper. They're going to be open July 1st through the end of the year. So frustrating. That was the one piece of frustrating news from the Golf Council meeting. And with that, we've got our buddy Capt. Mike Anderson on the phone. Great timing, my friend.
Always trying to help you out, buddy.
Impeccable timing. So how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm good, man. No complaints, man. Had dinner with the family, and
happy birthday Eve, by the way, buddy.
Thank you, partner. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what we were doing tonight. Spending tonight with my daughters and grandbabies and all that for my birthday. So it was a very nice night. Got a little basketball on tonight here a little bit. So
nice.
Life's good, yeah, man. And we're coming up on the full moon. Fish are going to be chewing. Weather looks good. I mean, there's a lot to be thankful for here.
Amen to that. Definitely beautiful weather to start the work week all the way through the moon pretty much. And flat calm and not as hot, thanks for your answered prayers there and all the rain you were hoping for. You sure got it, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We got it. No, I'll take it. I know it messed you up a little bit, and that was not my intention. I'd like it to just rain in the afternoons, but a little bit of cloud cover like that, dropping that water temp, that makes a big difference this time of year. So
yeah.
We'll take it. We got enough of the hot and steamy coming, late July, August, September. So let's not get there too soon.
Yeah, I went up to the farm property with my family there yesterday, and it is amazing how different other parts of Florida are compared to Pinellas County. Because here in Pinellas, we're sitting pretty. We've got the Gulf on one side. We've got Tampa Bay on the other side. As long as that sea surface temperature is in the low to mid 80s, man, it's nice here. Even in the brutal summertime, people are like, how do you live in Florida? Well, Pinellas County is not bad. If I had to live in Citrus County or Sumter County or Pasco County or Polk County during the heat of the summer, I would not live here. Man, it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal up there in the woods because it rained a little bit when we were driving up there. And my wife's like, oh, this will be nice. It'll cool us off. I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, babe, the sun's going to come right back and it's going to be steamy. Oh, dude, it was brutal. Brutally hot. It's easily 15 degrees hotter inland than it is on the coast. It's crazy.
I agree. Well, the sea breeze makes such a big difference. We were over in Tierra Verde last night, Beth and I, on a little getaway, and even though it was hot out, we were outside for the sunset and all that. It was nice out because of that sea breeze. That breeze kind of kept it cool, and that changes the game. It changes the game for our fish too.
Yeah,
it really does. That water temp coming down a bunch, everything gets more active. They got more energy. I mean, they feed better. It just, it was getting too hot too quick, and we needed something to slow it down a little bit. So, hopefully that rain doesn't go away here. Hopefully we stay in that pattern because that's kind of the pattern we need. That's why it's the pattern. Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to getting out there this week and trying to catch them up, put a bend in them rods.
Yeah, man. The tarpon are thick, the snook on the beaches, and the mangrove snapper are clouded up. It's
even wild. The redfish. There's been some really good reports of big redfish too, which I'm anxious to go poke my nose around and see if I can find them a little bit. There's been some oversized fish. We've had a lot of slot fish through the spring, but there's been good reports of some oversized fish showing up. So, that'd be a nice twist too. So
those oversized fish, they mostly stay on the beach though, don't they? Or they come in the pass, or they come in the bay?
Yeah, they come up in the bay for sure.
They go all the way to the top of the bay.
They'll go all the way to the top. They'll. The one thing about redfish that's really interesting is for some reason, and I don't know the exact reason. I think it has to do with the crabs. You'll notice even when we're talking about crab flushes for the tarpon, the crabs flush better when we're getting those afternoon rains.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about that, but it's just kind of the way it works. You get a lot better crab flush when we get the rains. And redfish traditionally put their nose into the fresh water.
Okay.
So when we get those big rains and the rain's coming out the bay, those redfish, and a lot of times you'll notice it because we'll have them at Fort DeSoto. We'll have them over on the bulkhead towards Anna Maria and towards Bradenton. And once those rains start to kick in, those fish disappear. And what they do is they put their nose into that fresh water and they go towards it. And they run up the bay. And then the bite will get better at Weeden Island. It'll get better at Cockroach. It'll get better up around the Kitchen and towards downtown Tampa. It'll get better up around the bridges up towards, Safety Harbor. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it works. So I don't know I don't know why. I learned it years ago from some of the best fishermen I know. Told me, I'm like, where did our redfish go? And they're like, it rained a bunch. I'm like, okay, again, where did they go? And,
cool story, bro.
yeah, explain it, please explain it. But they put their nose into it and they just head towards that fresh water, which, again, I think it has something to do with the crustaceans. I really do. I think they run towards that fresh water because they know them crabs. We dip them bigger crabs for the tarpon, but them redfish are on the bottom eating all them other crabs that pour out of them trees with all that heavy rain. So I think that's all part of that cycle. But that's just what they do. So
interesting.
I'm anxious to see how good that bite gets because again, we've had an epic redfish bite. I say epic. Better than we've had in years. Okay. Maybe better than we've had in 5 to 10 years.
And trout too.
This year. Yeah, and trout too, for sure. Mm-hmm. Redfish and the trout bite have been phenomenal. But the redfish bite especially, and it's been on 18 to 25, 26-inch fish. We haven't I haven't seen a bunch of really big fish. Some 27s and 28s here and there, but nothing, like traditionally 32s, 33s. We haven't seen any of those big oversized schools. So I'm anxious to see if I can catch these fish, and I'm getting reports of other guys catching, see if I can find some of them. So, it's what we do when we do this for so long. You hear about things and you're like, let's see if I can go put my skills to the test and catch these things.
There you go.
So, keeps you on your toes, keeps you working, So,
keeps you young.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but keeps us in the game anyway.
Turning 25 again tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I wish.
Well, I wish. We appreciate you, man. Thanks for the call on your birthday eve here, taking time away from the family for the show. So we appreciate it, brother.
It's all good, brother. Your family as well, my friend. So it's all good, and hopefully everybody gets out this week and catches them up. And enjoys this moon, the big tides, all that good stuff. So
Amen.
It's all a blessing, my friend, all a blessing. I appreciate you, kid.
All right, man. See you. Have a good one.
See you.
Enjoy
you
tomorrow.
See you.
Captain Mike's birthday tomorrow. That's awesome. I'm surprised he called. Honestly, I didn't think he'd be calling in with the old birthday going on tomorrow. I figured he had birthday plans, but look at that. He made time for us. He cares. Speaking of Captain Mike, you guys want to come join me and Captain Mike in person? You want to come hang out with us? June 24th is our next in-person event at OCC Roadhouse. June 24th at OCC Roadhouse over there on 49th Street, just south of Ulmerton. We're going to be talking fishing. We're going to be giving away free rods, free coolers from Engel Coolers, free Bull Bay rods, free Hubbard's Marina, and real animal swag, plus answering your questions, talking fishing, enjoying great food, great drinks, and a good time. That is every fourth Tuesday of every month, 7 to 9 p.m. So June 24th is the next one, 7 to 9 p.m. at OCC Roadhouse. So hopefully we'll see you there for that special event. With that, let's get into our first giveaway of the night, a 5-hour half day for two. Remember, in order to win these free trips, you have to watch the entire show live. Comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, and then if you're picked as the lucky winner, you've got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address. So that's how it works. Watch the entire show, comment one time, and then stay tuned because you got 5 minutes or less. All right, with that, let's see who won our 5-hour half day for two guests. 5-hour half day for two goes to, lucky winner is Wes Gallagher. Congratulations, Wes Gallagher, you got the 5-hour half day for 2 guests. So we did the announcement about Red Grouper. We talked about our gag grouper. And one thing I did want to mention, some people have been talking about it in the comments tonight as well, is the question about the AC unit. So the other night we shared this in our supporters group, but we didn't share it publicly because it was kind of a funny story. But the other night we were there until midnight. So remember, the Florida Fisherman runs these red snapper trips Friday to Sunday, Sunday to Tuesday, then Friday again it leaves. So it's only at the dock one night a week, Thursday nights. So this past Thursday we were there until midnight getting new AC systems installed. So the Florida Fisherman is definitely nice and chilly. We tinted the windows. Things are looking good. We replaced a lot of pumps. So the Florida Fisherman is chillier, and pumps are going real well. We did install 2 mini splits downstairs on the Florida Fisherman, and unfortunately one of the heads had a little bit of a problem right after install, so we'll be fixing that this Thursday night. Hopefully not all the way till midnight this time, but definitely looking forward to having a nice cold cabin. Too cold will be our problem. It is definitely dramatic change, so that's a good problem to have there, and definitely should alleviate any concerns people have, because it's always nice to have a nice cold cabin to walk into while you're eating hot food 100 miles from shore catching limits of red snapper, right? All right, so with that, let's see here. We got to get into our questions. I think we covered pretty much all of our announcements. One last announcement I did want to cover is thanking you all for making it possible. We were able to win for the 4th year in a row the top charter boat in the entire country. USA Today is voting top fishing charter in the entire country, Hubbard's Marina. Yet again, 4th year in a row, we are top winners, and it's all thanks to our Hubbard's Marina captains, crew, staff, our entire Hubbard's Marina family, including fishing friends like you. So thank you all for making that possible. We're definitely very, very, very blessed, honored, and appreciative. And then on that note, we were nominated for more voting. So it is a little frustrating. All this voting stuff happens at the same time, but we do have the creative loafing event going on right now, where we are basically in nominations for best charter, best bait shop, and best customer service. And I'll drop that link into the live stream comments. Make sure you vote. You have until June 11th on that one to get us nominated for best charter boat, best bait shop, and best customer service. And if we secure a nomination, then we got, I think voting opens July 17th. So we'll see about that when it comes out. But I dropped the link in the chat for you guys if you want to go in there and vote for us daily until June 11th. All right, with that, let's get into your questions. Dang it. Someone last week tried to ask this question, and we didn't get to it, and it looks like they came back and asked it again. Do you know where the name Chicken Rig came from? No, I do not. Nor do I care. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know where the name Chicken Rig came from. It is, it's an interesting, I'm sure someone named it that pejoratively because they hated it, I would imagine. Chickens are loud and smelly, and they're like, oh, that's a chicken rig because I don't like it. That's what my guess is as far as the derivative of where that name came from. But unsure of the origins of the name Chicken Rig. I've also heard it called a porgy rig. That's what I always grew up calling it, a porgy rig, because that's what it was good for, porgies, and not much else. But I digress. Can you explain the purpose and effectiveness of a knocker rig? Now, that's a great question. Yes, knocker rigging is really interesting, and I think we have a video about that, I believe. But a knocker rig is essentially your typical rig. The one we recommend starting out with and using a majority of the time is what I call a fish finder rig. You have an egg sinker on your main line, you've got a swivel, and then you've got about 4-foot leader in your hooks, generally running double snell hooks when out there deep water fishing with cut dead bait on the bottom for snapper. So egg sinker, swivel, 4-foot leader, hooks, and a cut chunk of thread fin. That is a fish finder rig. A knocker rig is simply eliminating the swivel in the leader. So you have a smaller egg sinker on your main line and a hook. So no leader, no swivel. Sometimes people will still put a leader on, like especially if you're running braided line, you got to put about 10, 15 feet of mono or fluorocarbon on top of the braid, then you put the smaller egg sinker on there. But in order to call it a knocker rig, it has to be a severely reduced egg sinker. Like if I was fishing a 4-ounce weight on my fish finder rig, I would be using like a 1-ounce egg sinker on my knocker rig. Offshore, if I'm fishing like a 6-8 ounce lead on my fish finder rig, I'd be fishing like a still about a 1-ounce egg sinker on my knocker rig. The reason a knocker rig works really well is it's designed. The idea is that the piece of bait you're using has so much drag, hydrodynamic drag, that as it goes to bottom, that lead separates from your hook. And the further that lead separates and rides up the main line away from your hook, the slower that bait is descending to bottom. So with a knocker rig, generally you cast out underhand away from the boat, so that way you're getting that line nice and stretched out. And then as that bait falls, your lead is naturally going to move away from it because your lead's falling faster than the bait. And because you cast it out, that lead's going to come back towards your rod and it's going to fall faster. So your lead should get further and further and further from your bait, and your bait should slow its descent down naturally. So by the time your lead hits the bottom, your bait should still be 20, 30 feet off the bottom, and your bait then just slowly falls to bottom without the lead dragging it down. So the lead helps it get to bottom, but then once it's near the bottom, the lead hits bottom and that bait continues to fall. The idea with the knocker rig is you're fishing more of the water column. Because the bait's descending slower, it's better presentation to those fish that aren't on the bottom. We use knocker rigs for mangrove snapper, for yellowtails, for a variety of species, hogfish. We use knocker rigs because those fish aren't always necessarily on the bottom, and sometimes they can be a little bit leader shy. Generally, I would never use a knocker rig if the bite is good. You drop down to the bottom and you're catching fish, don't use a knocker rig. The reason you would utilize a knocker rig is if the bite is really slow. If you're at the end of a spot and those fish have been chummed up off the bottom, those are times that you'd use the knocker rig. During midday in the summer when the bite gets a little tough, lighter tackle, lighter lead, knocker rig setup, you can sometimes pull out some bigger fish while other people are struggling. So the bite is slow, that's when the knocker rig comes into play. But it's hard to do, especially during red snapper season when there's so many people on the boat. But we definitely see a lot of success on the knocker rigs when you can utilize it, when there's not as many people around, and when the currents and tides are lining up right. But you have to have a lot of room because you're using a super light lead and your line gets away from you pretty easy. But some of the most fun I've had snapper fishing, red snapper fishing, because if you know me, you know I don't like red snapper, but the most fun I've had catching them is the Jimmy family comes out and does a charter with us, and I went out fishing for fun with them, and there was, I think, like 17 people on a 39-hour charter, and it was kind of a slower time of day, not many people around, so I went up to the front of the boat and I picked out the biggest thread fin I could find, and I trimmed that tail up just a little bit and tossed it out there on like a 1/2 ounce egg sinker, casted it way up current, like as far as I could off the front of the boat. By the time it was getting close to bottom, I was probably 100 yards behind the boat. So I went down the whole side of the boat. No one was fishing at all, and I had the flexibility to do that. But man, as that big thread fin slowly sank down to bottom, I caught like a 19.5-pound red snapper on like a 4000 series spinning rod. Took me around the boat 2 times. It kicked my butt. There was no way you could have done that on a public trip at all. But because there was only a handful of people fishing and it was a private charter, I was able to get away with it, and it was definitely a lot of fun. But light tackle, 30-pound test, a half-ounce egg sinker, and a 20-pound fish. Obviously, you can do the math. That didn't add up to a very quick battle, and it definitely would have tangled a lot of people if other people were around. So knocker rigs work really well, but you have to be careful when utilizing it, and it really is more effective on, like, say, the 12-hour night trip, 10-hour trip. Once you start getting too deep, beyond 120 foot of water, it really needs to be a super light load trip or a private charter, because then people are willing to work with you and get out of your way when you're coming down the rail with a super light snapper setup fighting a big fish, you know. All right, next question. Have you ever worked with Make-A-Wish Foundation? We do quite a bit. Have you met some of our crew members? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, we actually do work with Make-A-Wish Foundation. We have a trip coming up, I think, at the end of the month with Make-A-Wish. But yeah, I enjoy that thoroughly. We work with a lot of different groups, and we're very blessed and honored to be in a position to do that, and definitely enjoy working with them for sure. Always really heart-wrenching, though, the stories that you hear. I managed to get the last spot on an upcoming 44-hour trip. We'll be using the same setups on the 44-hour trip. Wait, what? What was that question?
I think he's asking, will we be using the same setups as the 39-hour and the 44-hour?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the 39-hour and the 44-hour are virtually the same trips. A lot of people ask, like, oh, are we fishing deeper? Are we fishing further? Not really. The 39-hour and the 44-hour trips are pretty similar, if not the same trip. The reason the 44-hour is different, it costs a little bit more money, because it is only offered once per month around the full moon, and we give an extra 5 hours of night fishing time. So the main difference between a 39-hour and a 44-hour is a 44-hour only happens around the full moon, and the 44-hour leaves 5 hours earlier, giving you more nighttime fishing. A 39-hour trip will leave at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and you'll start fishing about midnight, 1, 2 a.m. that night, or the next morning, I should say. And then you fish till about sundown or a little bit after sundown the next night. So you get about 20 hours of fishing time, but you only get about maybe 4 or 5 hours of night fishing time. The 44-hour trip, you get about 10 to 12 hours of night fishing time, and you get that full day as well. So basically, the 44-hour gives you more nighttime fishing on the full moon. And so it's a pretty big benefit for that reason. Sometimes we do fish a little bit further, a little bit deeper, but not really that much. We just have more running time on a 44-hour, so a little bit more flexibility. Whereas a 39-hour, we might fish an area, we might move to a different area, but we don't make dramatic movements. On the 44-hour, we have a little bit more flexibility. We might fish over here, and then we might end up pretty far away from where we first started, just because we have more running time, more flexibility there. So yes and no. Sometimes it's a little further, but I wouldn't say it's dramatically any deeper. Like, we have never really fished exponentially deeper on a 44-hour compared to a 39-hour. All right, next question. For black or yellowfin tuna, how far do I need to run offshore to catch them? We do catch yellowfin tuna in our area. We have caught a yellowfin tuna on a 39-hour trip trolling before, but we've caught like one yellowfin tuna in the last 15 years. So it's not something that I would say we do, but it's possible. Yellowfin tuna are generally more off the shelf and more concentrated in the northern Gulf. They get up there around the Mississippi River Delta, around the rigs and around the bait. So if you want to target yellowfin tuna in the Gulf, fishing in the northern Gulf out of Mississippi, maybe Alabama, really Louisiana. Louisiana is kind of the go-to spot if you want to get a yellowfin tuna. Really Texas too. Some of the Texas guys can get onto the yellowfin tuna. Blackfin tuna is something we catch a lot of. We catch a lot of blackfin tuna in really all year round. We see generally the biggest concentration there around December through March on the moon phases. This year we didn't really see them though. It was kind of weird. But we see them a pretty big push in spring, March, April, May. We see them pretty steadily through the summer. And then as it gets colder later this fall, we see them pretty good as well. So blackfin tuna kind of follow the bait and follow the currents a lot, the sea surface temperatures and those rip currents and kind of what bait is present out there. So it's hard to say, oh, this is what you need to do to catch 10 blackfin, because it changes. Sometimes we even see them pretty shallow, like there was a few years ago where we were catching blackfin tuna pretty consistently, even on 10-hour trips. But right now, the way the water is, the way the water temperature is, you got no shot for a blackfin tuna unless you're on a 12-hour extreme, 39-hour, or 44-hour. I would love to hear your thoughts in setting up my trolling rod for an upcoming 44-hour trip. Man, that wahoo really threw me for a loop. They caught a wahoo on a trolling spoon and planer. So normally we would talk about once you're offshore beyond about 20-30 miles, you put away the trolling spoon and planer, and you switch to a lipped plug, lip diving plug, the Rapala X-Rap, the Nomad DTX minnows, the mirror lures, the stretches. The lip diving plugs is kind of what we recommend once we're offshore. Some people like the skirted plugs, and we have seen some opportunities there with the skirted plugs, the daisy chains, the cedar plugs, but mostly lipped diving plugs are kind of the go-to as of late. I would use just 80-pound mono as far as your main line. You don't need anything crazy trolling on a 39-hour trip. Remember, it's a bottom fishing trip, right? So don't get too wrapped around the axle. If you don't do this trip a lot, if it's your first time on a 39 or 44-hour trip, don't worry about your trolling. Focus on the bottom fishing. Once you've done one or two of them, then maybe sprinkle in some trolling, right? But you come out in your first 39 or 44-hour trip, you're all excited and amped up, you can't sleep, you're trolling the whole way out. It's going to mess up your entire experience. You're not going to catch as many fish. You're not going to have as good a time. Focus on bottom fishing your first couple trips. Get your rest on the way out. Don't think about trolling. Go to sleep in your bunk. Today I got on the boat. They were leaving on a 39-hour trip, and there was 2 or 3 people that were already laying down with their faces covered, earplugs in, trying to go to sleep at 3 o'clock. Love that. That's the way to do it. You go to sleep quickly on the ride out. You get some good rest. So when we wake you up at 12, 1, 2 a.m. to fish for 20 hours straight, you're rested, you're hydrated, you're full of nutrients, and you're ready to kill the fish. I almost said crush. I'm trying to hold back. So you need to make sure that you're ready, especially this time of year. It is so excruciatingly, punishingly, frustratingly hot. You need to make sure that you're eating the right food the day before the trip. You need to make sure you get enough sleep. You need to make sure you're drinking enough water, not alcohol. So that way, when you get on the boat and you get out there in that heat and you're catching these big fish, you don't all of a sudden crash and then you can't enjoy your experience. So please make sure that you're definitely doing as much as you can to come hydrated, come healthy, come well rested, so you can have a good, positive experience. Let's do our next giveaway, our 10-hour all-day trip. 10-hour all-day trip for one lucky winner, 2 guests. 10-hour all-day trip goes to Paggy Farmer, congratulations from Dayton, Ohio. Congratulations, you got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to claim that free trip. Definitely, congrats to you. All right, so next question. What is the amount and type of top shot to be used for braided line? Will Red Snapper be open for the 39-hour trip first week in August? Yes. Red Snapper's open June 1st through September 15th. June 1st through September 15th is Red Snapper. Red Grouper is now open all year. Gag Grouper should be September 1st through at least September 14th. Amberjack may be open in September and October, but there's potential. There's no Amberjack this year. Triggerfish are open all year except for January, February, June, and July. Those are the only 4 species that have season. Gag Grouper, Triggerfish, Red Snapper, and Amberjack. So that's all you need to know. 4 fish, 4 seasons. What was the first question, though? Oh, the type of line for a top shot for a 39-hour trip. If you're using braided line, you got to have, on a 39-hour trip or a 44-hour trip, you got to have at least 30 to 40 foot of monofilament or fluorocarbon line on top of the braid. So you do a line-to-line knot, and then you reel in about 30 to 40 feet of monofilament or fluorocarbon on top of your braid. Generally, you want to match the line weight or strength to your main line. So if you've got 50-pound main line, you want to maybe put 50-pound top shot. It doesn't make sense to put super light top shot on. If you got 60-pound main line and you put 30-pound top shot on, your top shot's going to break a lot. You're going to have to retie it a lot during the trip. They should be very similar, within 10 pounds of your main line. So if you got 50-pound main line, 40 to 60-pound top shot. If you have a meal package, do you need a cooler? No, you don't need a cooler. A meal package is going to give you all the food and drinks that you need. Personally, if I'm on a 39-hour trip, I am going to take advantage of the meal package. There's really good food. Best cheeseburger in the Gulf, crazy country breakfast. We have some really good dinner options, lunch options, all that stuff. So I'm going to eat the food from the galley a majority of the trip. But I still bring a cooler. And the reason why is energy drinks, electrolyte drinks, beef jerky, can't go out there without that, and then other assorted snack items. Like I bring protein bars. It's nice to have some assorted snacks. We've got like chips, candy bars, some of the basic granola bars on the boat, and then we have the meals, and we have soda, and we have water, and we have beer. But we don't have like the specialized electrolyte drinks, some coconut water. We don't have that kind of stuff. So a lot of times I'll bring a smaller cooler with some of that kind of thing in my repertoire. But I'll mainly eat the galley food. So I bring it for that reason. You don't need a cooler on the boat to keep your fish, though, because remember, if you're on any of our trips, you're not legally allowed to keep your own fish in your own cooler. So all the fish go in the fish box, and at the end of the trip, we hand you your fish. So you leave your empty cooler, leave a fish cooler in your truck or in your car for after the trip. It makes it easier. But yes, the meal package also gives you happy hour beer prices. You save $2 off every beer you drink if you got a meal package, which is worth it. Would like to bring bonita for bait. Is the bigger the better finding bonita? Unsure of the question, but we have bonita in the shop at Hubbard's Marina, so you can buy bonita from us. We have the small bonita, and we do sometimes have larger bonitas as well. But personally, I would buy the smaller bonita because then you could use the head. You can fillet them out, use the fillets. The small bonita we have are about 15 to 18 inches. You wouldn't really need any bigger than that, personally. So I would just use the bonita we sell in the shop, or bring your own. But one less thing you got to bring. Do you have a boat to go to the middle grounds? A few. We actually were the first to offer overnight trips to the middle grounds. Back in 1967, first party boat to offer long-range overnight trips to the Florida middle grounds. And we still do it today. But we don't always fish the middle grounds, right? We fish the middle grounds, the elbow, and surrounding areas. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? What is the season for amberjack this year? I briefly mentioned, because we've talked about this a lot in past shows, amberjack are supposed to be opened all of September and October. But we found out this past March at our Refish AP meeting, and we've been talking about it at a few live shows, that the amberjack season is supposed to be September and October, but they showed us data back in March that the amberjack quota was over by 250% last year, they claim. So they haven't finalized the amberjack landing numbers to my knowledge, and they haven't talked more about the amberjack season. But if it is truly anywhere close to 250% over last year because of paybacks, we probably won't have an amberjack season this year. But hurry up and wait. We'll find out more soon. Remember, at our April council meeting, they told us they were going to focus on red snapper, federal for hire, then red grouper, then gag grouper, then amberjack. So we've already been told what our red snapper for hire season is. It's June 1st through September 15th. We've already been told about red grouper. It's going to remain open all year. We're now going to be told here next week or the week after about gags. It should be open September 1st to September 14th to 20th with hopefully 2 fish per person. We'll find out more soon. Then after that, they're going to start looking heavily at the jacks and finalize our answers on amberjack. But just looking at it, if you're 250% over, you have to pay any overage back. If you're paying 150% back, that means no amberjack access. So, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what we got here. Anything else, Josh? Any talks of increasing, what was that?
Recommend an electric reel.
Electric reel that doesn't cost so much. I heard something about like Gomexis. I forget the name of it. But we don't really fish electric reels, so...
This was the one I had open. That
yeah, I saw that one. There was another one that I saw. It flashed for a second. Something about triggerfish and increases. That one's... Any talk of an increasing the triggerfish limit. What I want them to do is, we've gotten to the point now where triggerfish are open all year. We're not hitting the catch limit anymore. So what I want them to do is remove these silly closures. Remember, triggerfish is open all year except January and February and June and July. The June and July closure for triggerfish is a spawning closure. All right, fine. Keep that on the books if we want, but let's remove the January, February closure on triggerfish. There's not a lot of people fishing in the Gulf. It's silly to keep them closed then. It was closed then because we saw some big MRIP spikes, and it would sometimes close the fishery when the quota was really small. But now the quota is big. If the weather's nice in January and February, let's keep those triggerfish again. And then once we get that January and February back open, and triggerfish are open all year except for June and July, if we go a few years without hitting the quota, then they need to remove the June and July closure. Keep them open all year. If we continue down that road, nothing bad's happening, then I think they need to talk about increasing the quotas, or increasing the bag limits. Don Schuett reminded me of the name. So the cheaper electric reel that they were telling us about is the, I don't know how to pronounce that, Piscifun, Piscifun. It's a Chinese-based company, I believe. Piscifun. That is the really cool electric reel that is at very low cost. A lot of people are using. Where do you position yourself when you're fishing on the boats? Always the bow. I am a tall guy. The bow, the roof is higher. The stern of the boat, everybody wants to fish the stern of the boat. It is not the best place to fish. The stern is not the best place to fish. Can't convince me of it. Because personally, I never fish the stern, nor would I. The roof is low back there. I hit my head a lot. Plus, people like to hang their rods and reels back there. So I try never to go back there, personally. Plus, on top of that, the back of the boat's where everybody is. So there's just so much movement, so much stuff happening. I like the bow. Less people up there, more room, got plenty of headspace, and you get more fresh air. I like the bow. Sometimes, all right, if it's rough, sometimes the bow's a little bit challenging because the boat's moving around a little bit more, but I like a challenge. So when it's rough, the bow is a little bit tricky. When it's really hot in the summertime, the bow can be a little tricky because you don't have any shade, but wear a big hat, wear some sun protective clothing. I like the bow. You got more elbow room, you got more spreading out room, there's less people. That's always my favorite place. But fishing on the side of the boat is good too because you're in the shade half the day. Because one side of the boat's in the shade and then the sun moves and the other side's in the shade. So fishing on the side, you're in the shade half the time. But the back of the boat, you got exhaust fumes. You got everybody and their brother back there who thinks it's the best spot. You got a lot of movement, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of people. I hate the stern of the boat. It's so comical. Without fail, if we've got 20 people booked on a trip, super light load, you're up on the bow with like one other person. There'll be 20 people and 18 people are on the back fifth of the boat, like just crammed back there, shoulder to shoulder, trying to fish the stern. And there'll be 2 people in the bow. Like, hey, this is great. Look, there's all these idiots are in the back. We've got all this room to ourselves. It's really, really, really interesting how that works. I don't get it. I think it's just like one of those wives' tales, like, hey, early bird gets the worm, and you got to wake up early to catch the fish, and you got to be on the stern of the boat there, sonny. That's not true. Back in the day, the stern was the best spot in like the 60s because the only way they had bottom machines back in the day when bottom machines first came out is the transducers were screwed to the back of the hull. So the fish show, what the captain sees, was always at the back of the boat. Nowadays, since like the 90s, we have through-hole transducers, so shortest wire run. So typically the through-hole transducer is right below the wheelhouse. Our boats, guess where the wheelhouses are? Towards the bow, towards the front. So most of the time, we're right there. The transducer is forward of the middle of the boat, and that's where the captain's positioning the boat on the spot. So that's the goal. That's the target, at least. So fishing on the bow is the best place, in my opinion. But no matter how many times I say that, I can talk till I'm blue in the face. Everybody and their brother will still be booking spots 1 and 10 tomorrow. The corners, I got to be in the back corners. Ah, man, I have seen people cry. I have seen grown men get in fights. I've seen people who literally thought they had the corner spot booked and then would leave and just not go fishing because they didn't have the back corner. It's like, guys, it's not even a good spot to fish. I don't understand it. I don't get it, but I digress. People still like chicken rigs too. Can't stop that. That's pretty much all we got. We're pretty much out of time anyway, so we'll wrap this thing up. But hopefully we'll see you guys June 24th at OCC Roadhouse, 7 to 9 p.m. over there at the OCC Roadhouse location on 49th Street, just south of Ulmerton. Don't forget to vote. Help us out there. Don't forget about your tattoo special. Check out our new online store. We really put a lot of time, energy, and effort in that new online store. We got to finish our last massages there. We're going to do some cool store stuff here in the next week or so. We worked with our marketing team. We have some cool directives launching for that. So stay tuned. Definitely check out the new online store. It's pretty cool. I think that's all I got. It's time to do our 39-hour trip giveaway. See who the lucky winner is. hopefully we'll see you next week and every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. for our live stream show. So make sure you tune in next week. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, turn on that notification bell, and then also join us again next week, 7:30 p.m. for another live stream show. Next week is Father's Day. We are tentatively planning to have the live show. Pretty sure we're going to do the live show unless I'm told otherwise. So just throwing that out there. Pretty sure we're going to do it though. 99% sure.
I'm on mute. I think my dog wants to take me out for dinner
For
that
Father's
night,
Day?
Dylan. Yeah, so
I'm pretty sure my family is leaving town and I'll be here. So that
right.
means might as well do a
Sunday
show.
night. Might as well. We'll keep you posted. Follow
Yeah.
us on the supporters page. Sign up. You guys will know first.
Yeah, follow on the supporters page. You get more behind the scenes info, and then subscribe on YouTube, and you'll make sure you know as well there. So hopefully we'll see you guys sometime soon on the water. Hopefully we'll see you next week for another episode, and every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over at Innovative Pools and Spa. Remember, Innovative Pools and Spa brings you 35 years of experience building pools in the Tampa Bay area. They're continuing the legacy of their father's pool business, and they've been recognized as a top pool builder in the Tampa Bay area for 35 years. Plus, they continue to raise the bar in pool design, construction, and features. They have an unparalleled passion for the industry. Call them today at 727-788-1650 or visit them online at innovativepoolsandspa.net for an estimate and see why Innovative Pools and Spa is a top choice for those in our community. So stop by Innovative Pools and Spa's website, stop by Gator Gym's Tackle in person. Hopefully we'll see you next week for our radio show on Saturday morning, our Sunday night show Sunday night, and our news segment Fridays. Hopefully you remember to vote. Thank you for voting for us as the top charter boat in the country for the 4th year in a row. Appreciate y'all. Hopefully we'll see you out in the water sometime soon. Don't forget to tell people we do a lot more than just fishing too. We got dolphin tours, we've got island trips, we've got shelling trips, sunset cruises, ash scattering trips, memorial charters, offshore signings. We do it all. If you want to do something out there on the water, Hubbard's Marina is a trip for you and your family. Definitely a great time on the dolphin tours right now. We got baby dolphins in the area. We got newborn ospreys, a lot of manatees, sea turtles, finding great shells out there at the island. So it's a good time to go cruising, fishing, dolphin touring. Stop by our seafood market at Don's Dock, get you some fresh fish. If you're too busy to go fishing, you can always stop by and purchase some fresh caught fish. But hopefully we'll see you out in the boat as well, because if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. We'll see you all next week. Supporters After Show starts at 8:55. So hopefully we'll see you all for the Supporters After Show in our private supporters group. Remember, it's only $4.99 a month. You get access to that private group. We'll see you all at 8:55 for the Supporters After Show. Y'all have a good night. Tight lines. We're out. Tricked ya. Touche, Josh. We forgot the last giveaway. I forgot the last giveaway. No one even commented yet. I guess because there's a comment delay. Yeah. We didn't lose anybody. Everybody still stayed. They were like, I'm not going anywhere. He's coming back. All right, 39-hour trip for one lucky winner goes to... Winner is April Day from Ohio again.
Another Ohio.
That's crazy.
We had so you guys are
crazy.
aware, we had somebody text in and was like,
I'm from Ohio
yeah,
too.
I'm from Ohio. Is it Ohio Winners Night? And
Apparently it is.
I wrote maybe.
Hey, speaking of giveaways, we came back to do a special giveaway. Last week, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, last week's show just kind of cut out on us for Facebook. It continued on YouTube, so we did end up doing the giveaways. Can you make that bigger and just move it to the other screen so our folks can see it? Here, I'll go back to full to allow you to... I think I'm on full at least.
Yeah, let me just copy.
Yeah. So we are going to show you guys who won last week. So we're just going to put it up on the screen. If this is you, you've got 5 minutes or less to text us your home address. So here is the winners from last week's show that crashed. The winners of the 5-hour half day for 2 and 39-hour trip from last week. So these folks also have 5 minutes or less to claim their free trip. So hopefully they're watching live for consecutive weeks because they got 5 minutes starting now. Who won last week's? Blake Moore won the 5-hour half day last week for 2 guests, and Alfred Kotke, I'm going to go with. Alfred Kotke won the 39-hour trip for 1 lucky winner. So those folks also have 5 minutes or less to text us their full home addresses from last week's show. Those are who won last week when the show crashed on y'all. But it was a great show last week with Scott talking about beach snook fishing. If you missed it, you can watch the whole rerun now on YouTube. You can also watch it on Facebook, but the end cuts out on you. So watch it on YouTube. It was killer live show. So hopefully you caught that. Hopefully we'll see you next week. And for real this time, we're out. Still 8:55, Josh? Still 8:55 for the Supporters After Show. We'll see you there. We're out.